Grace VanderWaal's story took a turn no one saw coming. The girl who captured America's heart and became the youngest winner of America's Got Talent at just 12 has now found herself facing a heartbreaking reality at 21. The once adored child star seems almost unrecognizable today as troubling news about her life continues to surface. What really happened to Grace VanderWaal? How did things fall apart so quickly? And is there any hope for her to recover from this career-shaking moment? Stay right here as we break down everything that led to this tragic chapter in her journey. A rise too bright to carry.
Hi. Hey,
There's a lot going on out here.
Yeah. Did you just catch Ariana Grande? Did you see her walk the carpet?
The tragic end of a child star often begins long before the world notices the cracks. Grace VanderWaal was no exception. 9 years after her unforgettable win on the stage of America's Got Talent, the singer who once captured the nation's heart found herself weighed down by regrets instead of celebration. She later admitted to Teen Vogue that she spent years quietly battling a storm inside her. "Guilty is a good word," she said, describing the uncomfortable truth of feeling unhappy even when everything around her seemed perfect. Grace went from being America's most beloved young artist to one of the most criticized rising stars in the industry. The sudden spotlight, the constant attention, the endless expectations, all of it began pressing down on her. She openly shared her struggles with severe mental health challenges and insecurities about her physical appearance. Even as time passed and she continued to evolve, the pressure to maintain the image the public adored never truly faded. It followed her everywhere. Despite those obstacles, Grace's career remained impressive. She was talented, hardworking, and determined. But her personal life often took a back seat as she tried to navigate fame at an age when most kids were still figuring out who they wanted to be. How did she handle the controversies that swept through her career? Did she rise above the noise? And where is Grace today? This story pulls back the curtain to uncover the truth. Her journey began far from the flashing lights of Hollywood. Grace Avery VanderWaal was born on the 15th of January 2004 near Kansas City, Kansas. Her parents, David and Tina VanderWaal, lived in Lenexa at the time. Though her family lived a modest life, her parents held notable positions. Her father, Dutch by heritage, served as the vice president of marketing at LG Electronics in 2007, which eventually led the family to relocate to Suffern, New York. From as early as 3 years old, Grace expressed her talent in ways that surprised everyone. She created songs, sang around the house, and developed a quirky, heartfelt style that would later define her artistry. Although she begged for a musical instrument, her mother wasn't immediately convinced. But inspiration has a way of ignoring obstacles. After watching a 21 Pilots video on YouTube, Grace became determined to learn the ukulele. So, after her 11th birthday, she used $50 she received as a gift to buy her first one. She taught herself through YouTube tutorials and also played the saxophone in her school marching band. Even as a child, she was a small universe of creativity. By 2015, she began recording covers and original songs for her YouTube channel. Inspired by her idols, Jason Mraz, 21 Pilots, and Katy Perry, she didn't want to remain confined to her bedroom. She stepped onto open mic stages near her home, performing for small crowds with the same passion she would later bring to national television. It was during this time that her mother, Tina, realized Grace wasn't just dabbling, she was serious. So Tina encouraged her to audition for America's Got Talent. Grace didn't plan any of it. She described the audition as spontaneous, almost accidental. On the Zach Sang show, she recalled that she wasn't a singer before the show and had no intention of auditioning. Her mom simply thought standing in a long line together would be a fun memory. But that one simple decision, that one risk, changed everything. On the 7th of June 2016, Grace walked onto the stage of the show's 11th and most viewed season. She performed "I Don't Know My Name," a song she wrote about herself. Her voice, trembling yet confident, filled the room with something unmistakably special. Howie Mandel immediately slammed the golden buzzer, launching her straight into the live quarterfinals. Simon Cowell even compared her to Taylor Swift, a compliment that carried enormous weight. Rolling Stone later described her audition song as an emotional, catchy, quirky tune. Her audition video soared past 200 million views and became the 5th most trending YouTube clip of 2016. Grace continued to shine with original songs, Beautiful Thing in the quarterfinals, Light the Sky in the semifinals, and Clay, a powerful song about bullying, in the finals. She stayed consistent, heartfelt, and unique through every performance. On the 13th of September, Grace VanderWaal won the 11th season of America's Got Talent. At just 12 years old, she became the name on every headline and the voice everyone wanted to hear. Her charm, her authenticity, and her unmistakable sound made her a national sensation. Her career took off immediately. She performed at the Lafayette Theater in Suffern, then at the Ramapo Summer Concert Series at Palisades Credit Union Park. In December 2016, she partnered with Columbia Records and Psycho Music to release her debut extended playlist, Imperfect, which quickly became one of the standout releases of the year. But success isn't always smooth, and at some point, the bright path before her took a darker turn. Where did things begin to unravel? At what moment did Grace encounter the tragic shift in her journey? And just how devastating was it? Stay with us. The story is only getting started. Born for the spotlight.
I kind of love being in pain. I love it so much. I just feel so
America's Got Talent has always been a launch pad for extraordinary talent, and Grace VanderWaal's story is one of the brightest examples. AGT, created by Simon Cowell, premiered in the United States in 2006 after the cancellation of its British version. Since then, it has become a powerhouse platform, turning unknown performers into household names. Some contestants vanished after their moment in the spotlight, but Grace wasn't one of them. She held on to that opportunity like a lifeline and turned it into years of success. Like thousands of contestants from across the country and beyond, Grace stepped onto the AGT stage hoping to be seen. The moment she began singing, her voice cut through the noise of competition and grabbed the attention of the judges' panel. Her audition didn't just impress them, it carried her all the way to the live final, where she ultimately won the competition and secured the life-changing cash prize. Along with the victory came the chance to headline a show on the iconic Las Vegas Strip. Her season went on to become the highest rated among the first 15 seasons of the show. Her age never stood in her way. After winning America's Got Talent in 2016, Grace grew up publicly, with the world watching her every move. But she didn't crumble under the pressure. Instead, she used the spotlight to build a career filled with milestones many adult artists only dream of. By 18, she was touring internationally and carving out her place in music history. She performed at the Planet Hollywood Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. In 2017, she became both the opening and closing act for the Special Olympics World Winter Games in Austria. She appeared at the Austin City Limits Music Festival and made guest appearances on shows like The Kelly Clarkson Show and The Ellen DeGeneres Show. Her first concert tour, supporting her release Just the Beginning, launched the same year, and the project debuted at number 22 on the US Billboard 200. Her momentum only grew. The following year, she joined Imagine Dragons on their Evolve World Tour, and later performed alongside Florence and the Machine on tour in 2019. That same year, she held her You Are So Beautiful tour and released her second EP, Letters Volume 1. Grace's talent didn't go unnoticed by the industry. In 2017, she earned the Billboard Women in Music Rising Star Award. The next year, she won the MTV Europe Music Award for Best Push Act. Her EP Perfectly Imperfect climbed to number 9 on the Billboard 200, proving her popularity extended far beyond television. Billboard magazine featured her 5 times in their 21 Under 21 list, acknowledging her as one of the fastest-rising young stars in music. She made history by becoming the first youngster to appear on the Forbes list and the youngest person ever included in the Forbes 30 Under 30 music category. On top of that, she won a Teen Choice Award, 2 Radio Disney Music Awards, and the Best New Artist Award. Grace VanderWaal didn't simply win a competition, she built a legacy that resonated across the world. Her spotlight moment wasn't a single event. It became a chapter of triumph, ambition, and undeniable talent. Behind the curtain of fame. After winning America's Got Talent, in 2016, Grace VanderWaal's life shifted at a speed no teenager could easily absorb. She was homeschooled through 7th grade, then later returned to public school, eventually graduating from Laurel Springs School in 2022. And while her rise on stage captured the world's attention, her journey beyond the spotlight led her into the world of film and acting. Through it all, she never stopped reminding people that her greatest anchor in life has always been her family. Grace has spoken often and openly about how deeply her family shaped the person she became. Her mother, Tina, she described as the funniest one in the family, always bringing humor into even the most overwhelming days. Her father, David, she credits for her fearless and curious spirit. "My dad is smart, cultured, and into the world and traveling," she once shared. "I feel like that was always something that was passed down to me. He's a really open and curious man." Despite being in her early adulthood, Grace developed a level of composure that surprised many. When asked how she gained such maturity, she pointed directly to her siblings. Her older sister, she said, had the biggest heart she had ever seen. "My sister is too hardworking for her good. The classic 3 jobs, can't say no. She will take on any favor you ask her. Her heart is just too big for her body." Her thoughts about her brother were different, but filled with the same affection. She described him as hot-headed and playful, the one who inherited her mom's fiery personality. "He loves poking at everyone, trying to get everyone annoyed at him, but in a cute way. He still has a childlike spirit, even though he is a grown man now." Growing up under their protective watch, Grace never felt alone, even when the world was staring straight at her. After her viral success, she believed she was in control, but she didn't fully realize how much her life had changed. She went from a quiet girl from Suffern to a global sensation, and with that came new eyes, new expectations, and new pressures. Her parents stepped in, guiding her through the chaos of early fame. Her mother traveled with her everywhere until she reached adulthood, ensuring every career choice was the right one. Their love, their guidance, their constant presence, this is what helped Grace stay grounded, even as fame tried to sweep her off her feet. But no matter how strong her support system was, fame has a way of creeping into the quiet corners of personal life. And now comes the moment you've been waiting for. Because behind the red carpet glow and the chart-topping success, Grace's personal world was far more fragile. When the camera lights faded and the applause stopped, she was left alone to face the shadows that early fame had cast over her life. Life after the show.
Onto your skillet and make sure that your patty doesn't stick, so there's already oil on mine.
9 years after her life-changing victory on America's Got Talent, Grace VanderWaal finally spoke openly about the weight she had been carrying. Fame arrived early, fast, and without mercy. She grew up under public opinion, and the constant judgment shaped her more deeply than she expected. She didn't realize that media attention at such a young age came with a heavy downside. At first, she struggled to cope with the negativity. People compared her adulthood to the 12-year-old who won AGT, refusing to let her grow or change. In an emotional interview with Teen Vogue, she exposed the pain she had kept hidden for years. "I realized, more than pain, I just was dragging this little girl everywhere I went. A little girl that just felt really unheard." She described locking herself away, crying in silence, overwhelmed, unable to tell anyone what she was going through. The hate comments, the unrealistic expectations, and the scrutiny sank into her heart, leaving her battling feelings of inadequacy that lasted for years. As she entered her teenage years, Grace changed her look. New hair colors, new styles, but the public reacted harshly. In 2019, she dyed her hair platinum blonde. Many loved it, many did not. A year later, she dyed it pink before shaving it in December 2020. A choice that raised even more questions. What people didn't know was that Grace had always wanted to try a shortcut, but her audience couldn't let go of the image they had of her from the show. Rumors spread quickly. People assumed she was struggling with mental issues or experimenting with substances, even though these assumptions had no basis. In 2021, when she released "Don't Assume What You Don't Know," people twisted the message. Instead of understanding her attempt to express herself, the public dissected her life. But Grace clarified that her phases were simply reflections of what she was going through personally, nothing more. She reminded fans that she'd loved unusual antiques and quirky styles since she was 8. Her transformation wasn't shocking to her, but many people didn't want to accept that she wasn't a child anymore. She said that people who hadn't seen her for years thought her changes were extreme, even though they were normal parts of growing up. Grace eventually addressed her critics directly. She said their behavior was harming modern culture, not fixing it, and that they were limiting young women from growing freely. Fame brought her opportunities, but also invaded her privacy. After AGT, she was so overwhelmed she nearly rejected the offer to sign with Simon Cowell's label, Psycho Music. Her life felt too serious, too fast. But with Simon's patience and encouragement, she eventually released her hit projects Just the Beginning and Perfectly Imperfect. Even so, not everyone supported her path. In one interview, Grace revealed how heavily the criticism from music teachers and fans weighed on her. A judge from the New York State Music Association once told her that her voice was scratchy and bad. Another teacher advised her to prepare a backup career because she would never make it in music. These comments hurt deeply, and she never forgot them. Grace admitted that her mental health struggles have always been part of her story, not only because of fame, but also because several of her family members faced the same issues. "I've always felt really alone in my childhood," she confessed, "especially as an adult. Now that I'm alone, it's felt unhealed." The emotional toll made her uncertain about releasing her album Child Star. She feared revisiting those painful memories would break her, but writing surprised her. Instead of destroying her, it helped her heal. Fade, one of the album's songs, came straight out of a therapy session. She admitted she didn't want to heal because she feared that forgetting the pain would erase part of her identity. She felt stuck between wanting peace and wanting to hold on to the truth of what she'd lived. Yet Grace never stopped growing. Her fans continued to stand by her, honoring her courage and applauding her self-acceptance. They loved that she wasn't trying to stay 12 forever. They defended her against harsh criticism and celebrated her boldness. Through every transformation, her vocals remained powerful, emotional, and unmistakable. She also became one of the strongest young advocates for mental health. The constant hate comments, the unrealistic beauty standards, and the never-ending scrutiny could have broken her. Instead, they reshaped her into someone stronger. On social media, she often posted without makeup, reminding young women that they didn't need to meet impossible expectations. Grace continued creating music that connected deeply with people facing their own struggles. Her song, Moonlight, inspired by a friend battling depression, reached 51 million views on YouTube. Her 2022 single, Lion's Den, reflected her experience with anxiety and emotional pressure. She also stepped further into acting, earning praise for her role in Stargirl and later securing a major role in Francis Coppola's Megalopolis as Vesta Sweetwater, a casting choice Coppola planned for years. Today, Grace uses her voice, her real voice, to educate millions about mental health, resilience, and self-worth. With over 3 million followers on YouTube and Instagram, she speaks about depression, healing, and the heavy cost of early fame. She still remembers how critics pushed her toward breaking points, but she also knows those experiences built her strength. She has learned to live in the present, "I just live in the moment that's happening," she shared, "because we can't worry about that right now." She chooses joy over fear, acceptance over perfection, and peace over performance. Grace now surrounds herself with people who lift her up. She blocks negativity without hesitation and refuses to compare herself to others. She no longer carries the burden of pleasing everyone. Instead, she focuses on becoming the best version of herself, for herself. And as she embraces this new phase of her journey, Grace VanderWaal stands stronger, wiser, and far more resilient than the world ever imagined. Stepping into new worlds.
How's it going? My name is Kevin Kenny, and I'm hanging out with Grace VanderWaal inside the Billboard offices here in New York.
If there is one thing Grace VanderWaal has proven since winning AGT at 12, it is that she can chase anything she believes in. Her artistic journey expanded even further in 2020, when she made her acting debut as Susan Stargirl Caraway in the Disney musical drama Stargirl. 2 years later, she returned to the screen in the sequel, Hollywood Stargirl. While many actors describe the film industry as intense and exhausting, Grace seemed to have the opposite experience. She spoke openly about how much she enjoyed stepping into her movie roles. Her acting career reached a new height when she joined the cast of Francis Coppola's ambitious film Megalopolis. Coppola had kept his eyes on Grace for years, and after one meeting, he offered her the role, along with the opportunity to write 2 songs for the film. It became a turning point that revealed a new side of Grace to her audience, marking the beginning of her artistic rebrand. Alongside acting, Grace embraced modeling as another creative outlet, appearing for well-known fashion houses and walking runways. Even though the public still tries to hold on to the 12-year-old girl they first met, Grace has learned to accept that chapter of her life without letting it define her. She acknowledges it as part of her evolution into the spotlight. Her growth became even more evident with the release of her second full-length album, Child Star, in April 2025. Before its release, she boldly warned critics to brace themselves. The album would cover heavy, serious topics that weren't typical mainstream sellers. But Grace stood firm. She chose honesty over popularity, expressing her truth through music without compromise. Beyond singing and acting, Grace discovered another passion: producing music. This new interest grew during the COVID lockdown, a time she described as emotionally difficult. Staying indoors forced her to slow down, and in that stillness, she sharpened her production skills. Today, her musical projects carry her own creative fingerprints, further establishing her as a multifaceted artist. She has also developed a love for cooking, excitedly embracing it as another hobby in her growing list of passions. Grace has learned to push through every challenge with resilience. With each obstacle, she found a new way to rise. Her music videos have gained millions of views. Her social media following has soared, and she has boldly explored genres like punk and rock, proving her artistic identity is ever-evolving. After overcoming the struggle of rebranding, Grace has shaped a strong, confident image that reflects who she truly is. Her success in music, acting, and fashion all stem from her willingness to grow while staying true to herself. Now based in New York City, she is focused on being present in every corner of her career. Whether she's singing, acting, or modeling, Grace's charisma continues to win the admiration of true fans who recognize her journey. Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you think. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And before you leave, take a moment to explore the other videos already waiting for you on your screen.